Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 35. Returning in a Dream. Sun Quan's forehead was furrowed in an undoable knot. He had finally made his decision, but as for how this battle was to be fought, and when, he had no plan at all. As for Zhou Yu, he was still strolling leisurely along the river bank. The two of them arrived at the pier, and Liu Bei's refugee troops climbed off the boats. For a time, the entire pier was crowded with people, to the point where water would not be able to pass through the crowd. Lu Meng and Gan Ning led troops in leading and scattering the people throughout the entire city. People squeezed by each other, and cries and shouts accompanied the citizens as they walked ashore. Children cried loudly and wailed, but Zhou Yu began to chuckle as he watched this unfold. "This is the first time in my life that I've encountered such a thing," Zhou Yu said helplessly. "Me too," Sun Quan said. "Watch out for assassins," Lu Meng said quietly as he squeezed over to them. "How have you two come out just like this?" Zhou Yu replied, "No worries. I have a handle on this." Sun Quan knew that even if assassins and spies had mingled with the refugees, they would not be able to escape Zhou Yu's keen eyes, so he felt relieved at that. Lu Meng, however, still sent quite a few troops to stand guard by Sun Quan. All of the citizens that had climbed ashore were subject to inspections, to ensure that they were not bringing any sharp arrows or crossbows. "I remember that 10 years ago," Zhou Yu said, "your brother said that this battle would be upon us sooner or later." Sun Quan, however, replied, "I remember that you were the one to say those words. You said that if we were to be victorious in the Battle of Guandu, this battle would be pushed back for 10 years. As of now, it has finally come. We have no choice but to face Sozian in battle. Back then, you stole my troops to help him achieve victory. As of today, do you regret that?" Zhou Yu asked. "I do not." With a shake of his sleeves, Sun Quan walked slowly forward, smiling at Liu Bei, who had just climbed out of a boat. "Liu Yuzhou." Sun Quan did not address him as royal uncle, evidently unwilling to play along with Liu Bei's scheme. Liu Bei, however, understood what was important in this situation, and he immediately went forth to pay his respects. Tears glinted in his eyes as he said, voice trembling, "On behalf of the citizens of Jingzhou, Bei thanks the Marquis of Wu for saving their lives. Rise quickly, rise quickly." Before Liu Bei knelt, Sun Quan moved forward to lift him to his feet. Liu Bei, however, was adamant on paying respects to him with this grand gesture, so he refused to rise. When he prostrated himself in front of Sun Quan was immediately stunned. Across the entire pier, tens of thousands of people knelt at once, and that scene was majestic to behold. Sun Quan turned his head back to look at Zhou Yu, and Zhou Yu immediately gestured for him to kneel as well. With that, Sun Quan had no choice, and with a wave of his sleeves, returned the greeting to Liu Bei. Their backs faced the sky as they both greeted each other with great formality. The citizens began to cry at that, thanking Liu Bei and Eastern Wu for the kindness of taking them in. Zhou Yu glanced around the entire assembly, only to spot Zhao Yun in the crowd, clad in a grey robe. He gestured at him, but Zhao Yun waved a hand, meaning that he could not leave his position at the moment. After the fatigue of the boat ride, Sun Quan received Liu Bei as a guest, and with his commanders around him, personally escorted Liu Bei to his estate. Zhou Yu remained to oversee the relocation, while Lu Meng cleared out some space in the eastern part of the city for Liu Bei's citizens and troops to make camp. After a whole day and night of work, everyone was finally taken care of the next day. Every day, Zhou Yu only slept for 2 shishan, so his illness had increased in severity, and he could not stop coughing as he studied the military records. Xiao Qiao frowned. "Zhou Lang, you must rest for a while." Zhou Yu waved a hand. A cold breeze blew through the room. Since winter had come, the air was dry, and he was wrapped in his robes as he took a brief respite in front of a brazier. "What is the situation according to the reports from the northern bank?" Xiao Jiao asked worriedly. Zhou Yu replied, so Sa has lashed his warships together, tying them in place with chains. It looks like he's getting ready to cross the river. Xiao Jiao said, you should sleep for a while. You can return to overtaxing yourself after you wake up. Zhou Yu nodded and closed his eyes. The Cao troops have come, and yet you're still sleeping. Soon Sa's slap landed on Zhou Yu's shoulder, and Zhou Yu immediately startled awake. Bafu? Zhou Yu asked disbelievingly. Soon Sa smiled, sitting on the steps in front of Zhou Yu's desk, his back to him. In that moment that he had startled awake, Zhou Yu hadn't had the chance to even see Sun Sa's face. Bafu. Zhou Yu almost overturned the table as he grabbed his shoulder, trying to make him turn his head. Sun Sa, however, refused. Sun Sa looked out over the river outside the doorway, murmuring, Gongjin, you've worked hard. Do you think this battle can be won? I don't know, Zhou Yu said, shaking his head. Bafu, you're still alive. Sun Sa turned his head, and in that moment, Zhou Yu saw Sun Sa's face. It was still as youthful and fresh as it had been, and he was in high spirits. His features were distinct and well-formed, and his bright eyes shone out from under his sword brows. His lips twitched but did not rise, and the corners of his mouth had the hint of a smile playing about them. Bafu, in that moment, Zhou Yu could no longer hold back his tears. His eyes were bright red as tears poured out from them, and his voice trembled and his lips quivered. He reached out a hand to touch Sun Sa's cheek, but Sun Sa took his hand and smiling, hooked an arm around his shoulders. Hey, what are you crying for? Sun Sa chuckled, before successfully pulling him into his arms, just like they had when they were young. Are you afraid? Sun Sa asked. Zhou Yu shook his head. His eyes were still filled with tears, and he stared fixedly at Sun Sa, a hint of restraint and grief about his eyes. I do not have anything left to lose, Zhou Yu said. When this battle begins, Xiao Jiao will take the children back to Fukun. If Jiangdong is to lose, I will offer up my life as a sacrifice in exchange. Sun Sa smiled. You cannot lose. Why would you say so? You have never been one to lose in the past. Zhou Yu grasped Sun Sa's hand, sitting shoulder to shoulder with him in front of the staircase. He stared at his face, lost in his thoughts, his brows, his eyes, the bridge of his nose and the gentle curve of his lips. These were all things that Zhou Yu remembered. 9 years of light and shadow had passed fleetingly, yet he had not forgotten even a single detail. My father said that for those who do not seek battle, it is very difficult to get them to fight, Sun Sa said earnestly to Zhou Yu, after thinking for a moment. But those who do not seek battle, as soon as they've made their decision, it is impossible to turn them away from doing it. They will be more fierce and courageous than anyone else, because they already have no option of retreat, and no other path to walk. Zhou Yu smiled sorrowfully. 10 years ago, the day that you and I came into conflict, this battle was destined to come. Have you decided if you will fight or not? Sun Sa glanced at the water outside, before glancing at Zhou Yu. I haven't, Zhou Yu replied. I have not yet decided, but I can't say that. If I say that, Sun Quan will be even more anxious. Sun Sa said, don't worry about that brat. I, for one, still remember that night after you helped me conquer the Wu Commandery. Do you still remember that? Attacking from the inside and out at the same time. Zhou Yu's emotions gradually calmed. Zhou Yu still remembered that that night, they had sent up a centipede kite burning merrily away, and with the flames eating at it, it looked like a long dragon. It fell towards Su Gong's estate, and in the chaos, Sun Sa took the opportunity to invade the Wu Commandery. Sun Sa made a gesture, before recreating that dragon in a lifelike manner, his fingers speeding back and forth through the air. Zhoulang. Xiao Jiao pushed gently at Zhou Yu, and Zhou Yu startled awake. He was drenched in a cold sweat, and he began to cough fiercely. Are you all right? Xiao Jiao asked, worried. I heard you calling out Bafu's name. Zhou Yu was still unsettled, facing the curtain that had been blown upwards by the wind. His entire body was so cold that he couldn't stop trembling. Xiao Jiao added, drink some medicine and go sleep inside. You've overworked yourself too much. Zhou Yu's eyes narrowed as he thought of that fiery, blazing dragon on that night. It's all right, Zhou Yu said. There's no need to worry about me. The sky was already growing dark with the advent of night. Zhou Yu went into the room to pack her things. I won't go. Xiao Jiao's eyes were filled with reluctance. As Zhou Yu packed away Xiao Jiao's personal belongings, he said, you must go. You cannot stay here. If the Cao troops make it to shore, Xiao Jiao said, I brought a dagger. Are you asking our child to lose even his mother? Zhou Yu asked. Xiao Jiao's breath stuttered, and she fell silent. Zhou Yu continued to pack her bags. The husband and wife sat together in one spot, and Zhou Yu swept Xiao Jiao's bangs to the side. If you go back, I won't have to worry about things at home, Zhou Yu said slowly. Did you dream of Bafu? Xiao Jiao held Zhou Yu's fingers, studying him like he was a stranger to her. Zhou Yu nodded, and the two of them spoke no further. When the sky brightened, Zhou Yu saw Xiao Jiao off at the pier. A lone boat traveled away, bearing Xiao Jiao with her bundle on her back, as well as several soldiers who were her escort. It headed down the Changjiang, towards Fukun. What was left was a qin, a pot of tea, and a sheepskin drawing. On the map, the Changjiang seemed to turn into that burning centipede kite, ready to come down in their faces at any moment. An army of 800,000, Zhao Yun's voice sounded from outside the door. When we add both our sides' forces, we only have 50,000. How are we supposed to fight this battle? Everyone's asking this question, Zhou Yu said. Even deceased Bafu specially paid me a visit to ask me this. Zhao Yun began to smile, and he leaned against the railing in front of the corridor, his arms crossed. The tip of his warrior's boot touched the ground, and in his white armor, he still looked like the youthful general of old. The only difference was that his features had matured with age. You've grown old, Zhou Yu said mildly. You've also grown old, Zhao Yun replied. You've aged faster than I have, your temples already have white hairs. Zhou Yu said, though you aged physically, your heart is not old. Though I am not old physically, my heart has already grown old. Zhao Yun walked forward and patted Zhou Yu's arm, sitting down to one side. They had too much to say, too many matters of the past to reminisce on, and for a time, they found that they were actually unable to voice them. Before long, those matters of the past that had happened in those years, turned into a tacit smile that they shared, and they never brought them up again. Zhou Yu was the first to speak. What did you return to Changban for? To save someone. Save who? Ato. Zhou Yu didn't understand. Zhao Yun explained, Zigong's son. Oh, Zhou Yu said. Since So P kept chasing you so doggedly, he's probably jealous, but I never saw this Ato that you brought with you. With that, Zhao Yun explained it to Zhou Yu, how he took the infant in swaddling clothes from Lady Gan's hands, and how he tied the infant to his chest and brought him out of there. When they escaped the danger, it had been night time, so Zhou Yu hadn't noticed, but now that they brought it up again, he felt fear after the fact. But Zhao Yun's descriptions also tickled him pink. Finally, Zhou Yu said, if Liu Yizhou doesn't even want his own son, what did you do it for? Does your own life not measure up to that of a child's? Zhao Yun replied, he is Zigong's legitimate heir. Zhou Yu could only let that go. He put the map away and boiled some tea for Zhao Yun, asking, how will we break through our enemies? Zhao Yun shrugged. I don't know, but the heavens do. Aren't you unafraid? Or have you yet to come to a decision? Haven't you also not yet decided? Zhou Yu shot back. But I see that you aren't afraid either. Zhao Yun and Zhou Yu both laughed at that, and after laughing for a bit, Zhou Yu shook his head helplessly. Bafu came. Zhao Yun asked. Zilong, do you think that people live on as ghosts after they die? Zhou Yu asked. Zhao Yun remained silent, and without waiting for him to reply, Zhou Yu continued, ever since Bafu left, I used to not believe in ghosts and gods, but I had no choice but to believe in them. No matter how much I said, it was my own reluctance that caused it, because I often hoped that Bafu would come into my dreams to find me. 9 years, Zhou Yu said. In these 9 years, not a single night has passed where I have dreamt of him, but last night, when I was unable to come to a decision, it was only then that he appeared to me in my dream. Zhao Yun drank a sip of tea, still not speaking. Zhou Yu continued, I was hoping that if I thought of him every day, then he would come to me in my dreams, yet that did not happen. As of now, I'm afraid that I thought of him too much during the day. Zhao Yun replied, Bafu entrusted his orphan to you, and I imagine that in these past years, you have never let down his expectations, which was why he never went to seek you out. And saying this, Zhao Yun smiled at Zhou Yu once more. But now, I have been shaken, Zhou Yu said with great feeling. Perhaps he came now too because of that reason. Zhao Yun said, as of now, my family's Zigong, your family's Zigong, the safety of the thousands of residents of Jiangdong, the situation of the entire world in the future, all rests solely on your shoulders. Don't speak of an alliance too soon, Zhou Yu replied mildly. 10 years ago, I told Sun Quan that we would fight such a battle as this with the Cao family. Perhaps in 10 years, you and I will no longer be allies either. And saying this, Zhou Yu's fingers swept over the strings, which rang crisply. He smiled. If, one day, you and I cross swords again in the future. Even if that day does come, Zhao Yun said calmly, right now, it is good that we can listen to the sound of the qin and drink a cup of tea together. Your family's strategist is a sharp character, Zhou Yu said. Zhao Yun let that pass with a simple smile, before rising, turning the cup upside down on the table, and leaving. Zhou Yu said, may your journey be smooth. I won't see you off. Let us gain victory in this battle, Zhao Yun replied. Several days later, Zhou Yu was reviewing the troops. When he arrived at Sun Quan's manor, the commanders in the Lu and Sun camps were in a heated argument, their faces and ears red from anger. As soon as Zhou Yu arrived, however, everyone fell silent. Zhou Yu first greeted Sun Quan and Liu Bei by cupping his hands, before taking a seat by Sun Quan's side. What are you arguing about? Zhou Yu asked. Chu Kaoliang smiled, but he didn't reply. The Cao troops are on the verge of crossing the river. Guan Yu said coldly, his hair flaring outwards in anger. Your great Eastern Wu has even cleaned out all sorts of heretical believers and supporters of evil. You want to chip away at their boats bit by bit? You think you can chip away all of them? Chu Kaoliang said, General Gan's words have a reason behind them. Gan Ning was just about to argue back, only to be quashed under a glare from Lu Su. Chu Kaoliang briefly described his plan. Since the Cao troops are moving to attack, they must have long since made their preparations. They're trying for an attack from both the inside and outside, so the strategy of chipping at their boats, I'm afraid, will probably not work. Why don't you give us a plan then? Zhu Ji mocked. What's the point of just standing around and refuting our points? He Huanggai said. Kongming Xianzhen was not born a naval strategist, so how would he understand how to fight in the water? Chu Kaoliang shot back with, if you know yourself and your enemy, you will not lose in 100 battles. Governor, you have sat there and observed this for a long while now. Why don't we listen to what the governor has in mind? Chu Kaoliang's words turned every gaze in the hall to Zhou Yu. Naturally, Zhou Yu would not choose to have a battle of words with Chu Kaoliang at such a time. After all, the most important thing right now was to figure out how to fight a winning battle, and not to have a clash of wills. After a brief moment of pondering, Zhou Yu said, "Zigong, Lord Lu, please discern if this will do." So Sa's armies are on the northern bank, and the foot soldiers and cavalry number about 350,000 in total. These are the confirmed numbers that I've received, Zhou Yu said to the gathered group. Jingzhou has only surrendered recently, and the hearts of the people are uneasy, so Sa will not completely rely on Chai Mao and Zhang Yun. This man is prone to suspecting others, and sowing discord between the two surrendered generals of Jingzhou and Sa is the first part of this strategy. Sa's army will move with great momentum, but at the heart of it, it only has one thing to accomplish: crossing the river and setting foot ashore. Sa himself does not have any ships to speak of, and the only ones he can use are the boats, both large and small, of Jingzhou. Though the soldiers may look like they number in the hundreds of thousands, the ones who will actually be able to participate in the battle number less than 100,000. In the end, our first wave of enemies will only be the 100,000 naval troops aboard these ships, and they will not all be Chai Mao and Zhang Yun's men. Sa will definitely send many of his men onto the boats, to take over command of Chai Mao's divisions. This split, according to my estimates, will probably be a 3-7 split. It will be composed of 3 parts Jingzhou troops, and 7 parts So troops. That is to say, there will be 30,000 Jing troops, and 70,000 So troops. In those 70,000 So troops, at least a half will be seasick, and will not pose a threat, Zhou Yu said mildly, spreading out the map of the Changjiang. So, the enemies that we will truly face number less than 50,000. As for how we should use our armies to destroy these 50,000 people, Zhou Yu said, requires a long and complicated process. This is the first time that Sa is directing a navy, and it will not go well. Han Xin's method of assigning his men can be said to be the more the better, so Sa will at most be commanding 3 warships. More will inevitably prove to be a hindrance more so than a help. We will destroy the flag commands that are passed between their ships, Zhou Yu continued. Especially with the formation. Stop right there. Chu Kaoliang finally spoke. What shit are you going to spew now? Gan Ning raged, finally unable to hold back from cursing him out. Motherfucker. My family's governor has commanded the navy for 10 years. How dare such a yellow-bellied? Zhou Yu frowned faintly and glanced at Gan Ning, and Gan Ning had no choice but to shut up. Chu Kaoliang smiled. A good friend from my youth is currently in Cao Cao's army. His name is Peng Shiwen, and he has been passing on information to me. Kongming Xianzhen, please speak, Zhou Yu said. He did not expect, however, that Chu Kaoliang's words would be the turning point for this great battle ahead. Someone has proposed a strategy to Sa. The northerners are seasick and not well versed in naval battles, but there is one way to solve that, which is to use iron chains to link up all the large ships, so as to reduce the force of the waves. With that, Jingzhou's navy will become one entity. Though it removes the risk of the soldiers falling seasick, it makes the boats clumsy and cumbersome, and turning around will be difficult, Chu Kaoliang continued. That way, the Cao troops can naturally set foot on the opposite shore. The sound of a pin falling to the ground could be heard in the silence of the hall. If Sa did thusly, then with their hundreds of large ships, they could naturally come to each other's assistance, aligning themselves, row after row, in an impregnable defense that stretched all the way to the other shore. All it needed was for the first boat to reach the shore, and the foot soldiers would pour forth like the tide. This strategy is very simple, Chu Kaoliang said, but it also has its disadvantages. If we can successfully destroy the metal boat formation, the Cao troops will have to retreat. Blood roiled in Zhou Yu's chest, and his mind spun dizzily. He seemed to have thought of something, but he couldn't quite grasp it. In the darkness, everyone's voices fell away, and a kite that had turned into a long dragon coiled with flames, letting off sparks as it floated over the surface of the river. Zhou Yu swiftly opened his eyes. Governor. Cheng Pu hurried forward to help steady him. Zhou Yu hurriedly waved his hand, coughing non-stop. He grabbed the hem of Sun Quan's robe and coughed up a bit of blood. I'm all right, Zhou Yu said, panting. Sun Quan glanced at Zhou Yu, and Zhou Yu tucked the corner of Sun Quan's robe in a little. I have a plan in mind, Zhou Yu said. Commanders, please rest assured. Only the battlefield will require a helping hand from the heavens to determine the success or failure of this plan. After this, all we will have left to do is wait. If that is the case, then what commanders and what squadrons will be sent out will be for the governor to determine, Liu Bei said. Governor, you have full right to command all the armies, and all will follow your orders. Zhou Yu nodded and cupped his hands at the group, before accepting Sun Quan's command tally. The rest of them dispersed. Chu Kaoliang and Liu Bei left the governor's manor, as Liu Bei insisted on remaining in the camp in the east of the city. The two of them discussed briefly, before Chu Kaoliang said, in eastern Wu, Zhang Zhao has already lost the trust of his master, while Zhou Yu is severely ill with a sickness that has hidden itself for many years. After the battle is over, Zigong can ask to borrow Jingzhou from Sun Quan. Liu Bei mused for a long while, before replying, Jingzhou did not originally belong to Eastern Wu, but the Sun family, Huangziu and Lord Jingsheng have had many disputes over it. I'm afraid I may not be able to bring myself to ask that question. Zigong only needs to ask, Chu Kaoliang said. I see that Zhou Yu already has a plan, and victory in this battle is at hand. But it will not be a decisive victory, as Cao Cao's large army will simply retreat to Xiangyang. When that time comes, Sun Quan will still need us to fend off his armies. In the governor's manor, Zhou Yu coughed a few more times. Sun Quan stood off to one side, his worry showing clearly on his face. Gongjindage, Sun Quan said, his voice quivering. It is all right, Zhou Yu replied. The weather has been cold with the arrival of winter, and that has harmed my lungs. The root of this illness was planted a very long time ago. Sun Quan replied, I heard that Chu Kaoliang is well versed in the medical arts. Shall I ask him to come and have a look at you? When I was 5, I fell severely ill, and that is something that even an immortal cannot fix, Zhou Yu said, taking a sip of tea. Allow me to ask something of you, Zongmu. Once we win this battle, you must keep Chu Kaoliang and Liu Bei in Jiangdong as hostages. Sun Quan jolted and asked, how could I do such a thing? Zhou Yu glanced at Sun Quan, his gaze complicated. End chapter. Twin Jades of Jiangdong. Chapter 36. Chains of Fire. Before he passed, Sun Sa left Sun Quan in the care of Zhou Yu and Zhang Zhao. If they had not been able to hear Sun Sa's last words, I imagine that we would not be here now either. If internal affairs are undecided, ask Zhang Zhao. If external affairs are undecided, ask Zhou Yu. Liu Bei smiled helplessly. Chu Kaoliang stroked his beard. Zhou Yu has been suffering from a hidden illness, which is a stroke of misfortune for Eastern Wu. It is also, however, a great stroke of fortune for Zigong. Chu Kaoliang and Liu Bei walked through the camp, with the silent Zhao Yun following behind them. Liu Bei shook his head. You must not say that. As of now, we are guests, and Eastern Wu is our host. This is exactly the time where we need to work in concert to overcome these hardships together. Chu Kaoliang looked up at Zhao Yun, who seemed to still be deep in thought. Liu Bei continued, Zilong, in your opinion, how is Governor Zhou as a person? Though he does not speak much, Zhao Yun replied, he never hides behind others. In the past, Sopi and I found ourselves trapped in Shaochun, and it was thanks to Zhou Yu's assistance that we were able to make our way out of there. Bafu was magnanimous and affable, prone to whimsy, while Gongjin was steady and reliable, resolute in his decisions. Liu Bei said, this proposal to ally ourselves with Eastern Wu for the sake of Cao Cao, How much of it do you think is real, and how much of it is fake? Zhao Yun sucked in a deep breath. All of it is real. Gongjin is someone who never goes back on his word. Chu Kaoliang said, ever since Sun Sa passed away, in the years since then, I had thought that Zhou Yu no longer paid attention to the matters of Jiangdong. But now that I think about it, for someone who speaks little, remains silent, and retreats again and again, when they find that they have no other choice but to attack, they are more resolute than anyone else. Exactly, Liu Bei nodded. If the governor's illness can be cured for good, I will have to ask for Xianzhen's help with that. Chu Kaoliang chuckled but shook his head helplessly. Liu Bei continued, Zilong, you are old acquaintances with Jiangdong. Do you know what the cause of this illness of Zhou Yu's is? After Zhao Yun searched his memories for a long time, he replied, back in the day, I heard Gongjin mention it once or twice. He said that as a child, he fell into the water, which harmed his lungs. That was what planted the seed of the illness, but when Bafu was alive, Gongjin warned me time and again not to bring that up. If that is truly the case, Chu Kaoliang replied, then even if it were Hua Tuo, he would have no way to cure it. After noon, Chu Kaoliang, Liu Bei, and Zhao Yun spoke for a while more. Right now, the entirety of Jiangdong, and the little over 100,000 troops of the allied forces of Sun and Lu, were all waiting for Zhou Yu's final stratagem. The day of Cao Cao's river crossing was also coming closer and closer, but as to how this battle was to be fought, they had no clue. A strong wind blew across the river, from west to east, sending the military flags flapping. Chu Kaoliang stood facing the wind, by the edge of the river, his robes billowing. Zhou Yu, clad in a military uniform, came towards him along the bank of the river. Without turning his head, Chu Kaoliang said, strong winds sweep up great waves along the Changjiang, and the remarkable land of Jiangdong produces heroes among men. Even though we may be heading to our deaths tomorrow, I have been able to bear witness to the happenings of today. My visit to Jiangdong this time will not have been in vain. Zhou Yu replied casually, no matter how majestic the scenery, if you look upon it every day, you too will grow tired of it. These views are nothing more than boundless landscapes in the eye of those who have left, and are not even worth mentioning. With a smile, Chu Kaoliang turned. Zhou Yu's face was sheet white, his sword was belted at his waist, and he was clad in a set of fish-scale black armor as he stood on the bank of the river. I imagine that the governor already has a strategy in mind. Xian Sheng, please come with me. Zhou Yu made a please, this way gesture. Chu Kaoliang and Zhou Yu walked downstream along the river, heading to the naval headquarters. The Navy's grounds allowed no outsiders to come in, but when they saw Zhou Yu, they all bowed. Lu Su, Sun Quan, Gan Ning, Cheng Pu, Huang Gai, and the rest were all arrayed majestically in the tent. The water table was laid out, and in the broad pool that was 10 paces wide and 100 paces long, hundreds of boats that were linked together with grass ropes floated along the northern shore. Chu Kaoliang cupped his hands and bowed in Sun Quan's direction, and Zhou Yu indicated that they could begin. In a few days, the Cao army will draw close to the eastern shore, Zhou Yu said. 41 ships from our side must bear full loads of oil, and with the sacrifice of the lives of 1,000 men, will destroy both the Cao army and themselves. Oil is less dense than water. Zhou Yu moved the warships of the Cao army to the eastern shore, while Gan Ning and Ling Tong pushed the eastern Wu navy with long hooked rods to clamp around the Cao army, moving them in a pattern to close around the Cao army's warships arrayed in a straight line. The empty boats were filled with kerosene and thatch. After the two sides engage in close-quarter combat, Zhou Yu continued, the oil ships will collide with the warships. The two commanders pushed the boats to the middle, and the 41 small ships each overturned, dumping the kerosene in the empty ships into the water. Right after, Lu Su waved a lit fold of paper and ignited the thatch, before throwing it into the river. Immediately, the fire burst forth with a hong, and tongues of flame engulfed the entire connected string of boats. Everyone was silent. In the Black River, the Cao army's warships disintegrated into pieces, all of them retreating towards the southern shore, alongside the chains of fire. A black sky reflected in Zhou Yu's eyes, as well as that kite slowly dissolving in the night sky, trailing flames and sparks. It was as if Sun Ce was on that opposite shore, charging at top speed towards them on his warhorse. Gongjin! Sun Ce shouted, smiling. Governor! Sun Quan asked. Zhou Yu startled back to awareness, only to see that everyone was watching him. Lu Su made a gesture, and it was only then that Zhou Yu came back to his senses. After he thought for a moment, he said, as soon as there is a fire, the Cao army has two options left to them. One is to retreat, Chu Kaoliang said, replying to this question in lieu of Zhou Yu. But as soon as he retreats, our side will be victorious. If a fire spreads along the surface of the river, then it will be difficult to pay attention to the front and rear, and they will undoubtedly tangle into a great mess. Exactly, Zhou Yu said. The second is to cut off all means of retreat, ignore the fire, and forcefully charge the shore. But if a fire has already broken out before they try to gain the eastern shore, it will be too late, and in the end, it will be up to the foot soldiers to put their lives on the line to gain the shore. As long as we hold out when the large warships hit the shore, all we have to do is wait until the boats in the back start to burn. Even if Cao Ce is a military god reborn on this earth, he will not be able to salvage the situation. There's no need, Chu Kaoliang said. As soon as we implement this stratagem, the entirety of Cao Cao's army will burn to death in the middle of the river. They will not be able to set foot on the shore again. This is a good strategy, Governor. It was only now that Sun Quan finally wiped away his sweat, truly relaxing. Though we already have a strategy, Zhou Yu said, there are many variables that can change. Everyone who is gathered here today, please keep this a secret. The reason why I only brought Xian Sheng here is not because I don't trust Lu Yuzhou. I understand. Chu Kaoliang cupped his hands at everyone in the room. Zhou Yu, this strategy is one that requires the correct timing, the correct geography, and the correct reactions of our men and our enemies. If we lack even one, it will fail. How we can burn as many of the Cao troops' ships as we can is something that I and the assembled commanders will have to discuss at length. Zhou Yu's plan of attacking with fire evidently settled Chu Kaoliang's nerves as well. Chu Kaoliang understood that this was a matter that could not be delayed, and he had to return to make the arrangements with Liu Bei, so he left soon after. The rest of them cleaned up the water table. Zhou Yu was still deep in thought, and it wasn't until everyone else had left, leaving Sun Quan standing behind Zhou Yu, that Zhou Yu coughed violently. Sun Quan stroked a hand down Zhou Yu's back. After this battle is over, Zhou Yu murmured, if we are able to gain the victory, then after that, this world will be yours. And after he said that, he turned his head to study Sun Quan's eyes, which were filled with valor. Have you decided on what you will say that day? Sun Quan knew that Zhou Yu was chivying him to make his decision. If they were able to win in the Battle of Chibi and detain Liu Bei, Cao Ce would retreat back to Ye City, while Eastern Wu would be able to ride the wave of their victory to gain Jingzhou. If they gained Yizhu after that, then they and Cao Ce would each rule over half of the world. But he still did not give Zhou Yu a response. How did you think of such a strategy? Sun Quan asked, smiling a little. Zhou Yu did not press him either, instead replying, if I told you that it was because of your brother, who came into my dreams, would you believe that? Sun Quan nodded eagerly, but after Zhou Yu said that, he turned and left. After several days, no news came from the western shore. No decision had been made on the eastern shore either, but as for what they were waiting for, only the marshals of each side knew. What day shall the battle happen? Liu Bei's voice arrived before he did, and he appeared with Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Zhao Yun, Chu Kaoliang, and the rest of them, evidently here to visit. To destroy Lord Cao, we must attack with fire. Everything is in place, and all we lack is the east wind, Zhou Yu replied unconcernedly as he read a book. Liu Bei sat down in the hall. If the east wind does not blow, and the Cao troops arrive first, Zhou Yu finished the half of the sentence that Liu Bei did not voice, then we will be completely annihilated, and not a single one of us spared. Tomorrow at twilight, Chu Kaoliang said, I am willing to cast a spell and, with my will, pray to the gods so that I may bring down the east wind for the governor. How does that sound? Zhou Yu raised an eyebrow, looking at Chu Kaoliang disbelievingly. Everything is as the heavens will it, Zhou Yu said mildly. Or does Xiansheng believe that the will of men trumps the intent of the heavens? This battle will decide the fate of my Han troops and the Wu troops, Chu Kaoliang smiled slightly. More so, it will determine the fate of the world, and the destiny of that thief Cao. Even if this reduces my own lifespan, I must give it a try. Zhou Yu lifted a hand, indicating that there was no need to continue. He had never believed in the so-called mystic arts, unless. When he got to this point, he once again looked towards Chu Kaoliang. He knew that this person would be so blindly arrogant as to let his arrogance overrun the fact that the battle situation depended on the unpredictable will of the heavens. Is the governor unable to trust me? Chu Kaoliang asked, uncaring. Zhou Yu smiled and replied, I have heard that Xiansheng learned from a true master, and is well versed in astronomy and governance, the harmony of the four spirits, and the Kimandungia, so it is expected that you have a handle on the situation. However, I do not dare to stake the entirety of Jiangdong on a single sentence of Xiansheng's. Chu Kaoliang replied, that is reasonable. In that case, what if this humble servant signs a military pledge? Instantly, countless thoughts flashed through Zhou Yu's head. If they could win this battle, letting Liu Bei go would be equivalent to setting a tiger free so it could return to its mountain. Even if Sun Quan could not bring himself to do it, he would still have to act first to get the advantage, and detain Liu Bei. As of now, Chu Kaoliang was offering himself up, which was the perfect chance. Where does Xiansheng need to cast the spell? Zhou Yu asked. Right on Mount Nanping, Chu Kaoliang replied, self-assured. Zhou Yu said, then I'll have Zijing escort Xiansheng there. As expected, Chu Kaoliang said, nodding. Liu Bei continued, no matter what happens, we must fight tomorrow at twilight. We cannot drag this out any longer. Zhou Yu's heartbeat quickened at that. Everyone's expressions looked grim, but suddenly, he noticed something odd, and he immediately ordered the guards to come outside with him. In the dense mist, the Cao army had already begun to cross the river. On the opposite side of the vast Changjiang, there stretched a long, unbroken black shadow. Zhou Yu sucked in a deep breath, trembling slightly. Tomorrow would be the day the battle would be decided. Does the governor believe that we will undoubtedly win? Liu Bei asked. I do not, Zhou Yu replied. The outcome of this battle will depend on the heavens. Governor. His subordinate came with a report, and handed over a secret missive. As soon as Zhou Yu opened up the missive, his expression immediately changed, and he cupped his hands at the gathered people. Farewell. Zhou Yu left swiftly. Liu Bei and the others were filled with curiosity, but Zhou Yu, however, was weighed down by his thoughts. According to what Gan Ning had reported, it was very likely that the reports from the Wu army had been leaked. When he arrived at the headquarters for the main army, he gathered the commanders. Zhou Yu first greeted Sun Quan, before Gan Ning said, thankfully we discovered this early. Have you found the spy yet? Zhou Yu asked. Huang Gai narrowed his eyes. Chai he has been gathering news from our camp. The first thing he did was to seek out a captain under my command, to figure out what the exact situation was with my men. I figured that you might find a use for this envoy, so I did not have him killed. In Zhou Yu's hand was a secret report that Chai he had written for the Cao camp. His back was covered in cold sweat. This surrender general had come with Liu Bei and the rest, and because he was an old acquaintance of a captain in Huang Gai's troops, Zhou Yu had the men transferred under Huang Gai's command. 3 days ago, he had heard some news, but thankfully, Zhou Yu had not leaked the plan. Aside from the people who were in the war meetings, he did not know what stratagem Zhou Yu was going to employ. His only conclusion, which he had guessed from their expressions after they concluded the meeting, was that Eastern Wu had already decided on a counter-strategy. Zhu Ji said, "I remember that back in the day, Governor, you forged a document which tricked Su Gong into giving up his entire city, and also stopped the letter to Xiaochun asking for help. Why not make an exact copy once again?" "No," Zhou Yu said decisively. "I have something else in mind. This is a very important tactic, and may even end up dominating the battle situation." Late that night, Sun Quan headed to rest. In the main command tent, Zhou Yu started the last war meeting, but what faced him was a marshal boiling with rage. "If you send men to cross the river and attack the enemy's camp first, nothing awaits us but certain death." Huang Gai raged. Liu Bei's men number less than 20,000, and even if his entire army were to conceal themselves in Wulin, they would have no way to win a guaranteed victory. When So Sa crosses the river and comes east, as soon as he takes Gb, how will the mere 20,000 troops in Wulin be enough to stop him? Zhou Yu replied, "Old General Huang, this is not something you have to concern yourself with. You only need to lead your men into battle. I cannot follow these orders." Huang Gai said, as if he could hold back no longer. "This old man has helped the Sun family conquer the world. Do you still treat your marshal with any sort of respect?" Zhou Yu roared back. "The enemy is right at our gates, yet you're still trying to bargain with me at this moment. Zigong has handed command of the navy over to me, which means I am here to command the troops, not discuss how to go about doing so with you." Liu Bei, Chu Kaoliang, Cheng Pu, and the rest all spoke out, asking Zhou Yu to calm his anger. Zhou Yu raged, "General Huang, ever since the battle on Mount Gu, you have looked down on me. It was like this back then, and it is still like this even now. If you are unable to obey these orders, then feel free to leave on your own. Hand over the naval troops under your command." Huang Gai was old and stubborn, and with a thunderous bellow, he shouted, "The men's hearts are not in it. What is the point of staying?" Zhou Yu pulled out a command arrow, as if he was about to strip away Huang Gai's rank right then and there. Lu Su's expression immediately changed at that. "Governor, changing out generals right before a battle is a great taboo." Zhou Yu was so angry that his entire body was trembling, and he supported himself against the table with one hand as he coughed violently. Blood splattered across the table, and the people around them were scared out of their wits. They immediately went forth to check on him, but Zhou Yu held up a hand to stop them, letting the command arrow fall to the ground. "As punishment, you are subject to 30 strikes." Zhou Yu said coldly, fresh blood staining the corners of his mouth. "Your rank as general has been stripped, and General Zhu Ji will replace you. The transfer of your men will be done tonight as well." "Zhou Gongjin," Huang Gai bellowed. "I will report this to Zigong." Zhou Yu wiped away the fresh blood at the corners of his mouth, and he replied coldly, "What a pity that with the battle situation as it is now, it is no longer Zigong's place to make decisions." Huang Gai kept bellowing as he was dragged away, out to the drill grounds. As the entire army watched, he was subject to 30 strikes from the cane. No one else dared to dissent, and with that, the meeting was concluded. Deep into the night, Huang Gai lay on the bed, his back covered in fresh blood from the beating. Zhou Yu lifted the flap of the tent aside and came in, bringing with him a medicinal paste. He knelt in front of the bed, applying the medicine to Huang Gai's wounds. Huang Gai let out a cold grunt. "Since the governor has come now, are you trying to make this beating that this old man suffered go to waste?" Zhou Yu placed the medicinal paste on the table. He kowtowed 3 times to Huang Gai, saying solemnly, "In this battle, Elder Huang may go and not return." "Zhou Yu, on behalf of our previous master, kneels in thanks to Elder Wang's noble character. Go, Huanggai said. Are the small boats ready to go? 10,000 jin of kerosene, and 120 boats, Zhou Yu said, rising to his feet. They are all waiting by the shore. Make the preparations immediately, Huanggai ordered. Zhou Yu put his helmet on and walked out, but as soon as he came out of the tent, he heard hurried footsteps. A captain entered and bowed to Huanggai. Kin Che, Huanggai said. What news from Chai He's side? He's already been pacified, that captain named Kin Che said. The news of the beating that you endured from the governor today has already spread throughout the entire army. Go right now and draft me a letter of surrender, Huanggai said. Before the third gang, take me to him so we can talk it out. Kin Che bowed. Yes sir. Zhou Yu stood in front of the tent, and when he looked up, he seemed to see, for a moment, someone standing beside him. That person was only a shadow, but he was as heroic and handsome as he always had been. He still looked exactly like the youth he had been when they first met, and he affectionately slung an arm around his shoulders. I worry that old General Huang will be in danger, Zhou Yu said quietly. He has already put his life on the line for your Sun family for his entire life. Even now, as old as he has put his life forth as a bet once more. Don't be afraid, Sun Sa said. Everything is as the heavens wills it, and I'll be there with you. Zhou Yu reached back to hold the hand that Sun Sa had placed on his shoulder, but Sun Sa turned into motes of starlight, vanishing without a trace. At the third gang, Chai he waited by the river. The waves lapped as a small boat carried Kin Che and Huanggai forth. As soon as Chai he saw Huanggai, he hurriedly knelt with one knee on the ground, but Kin Che raised him to his feet. Huanggai was covered in wounds, and he limped along, using his sword as a crutch, as he caught his breath. I'm old, Huanggai said, his tears flowing freely. I never thought that back then, the foundation of General Polu's troops would fall to such a level as this. What are you saying, General? Chai he hurried to protest. Chancellor Cao has come as ordered by the Emperor himself to subdue Jiangdong. You and I are Han officials. The Marquis of Wu is truly slow-witted, old general, your heart lies with the Han royal clan, whose future stretches limitless before him. Huanggai watched the pitch-black waters of the river, not making a sound. Kin Che said, General Chai, I will go at once with you to meet Lord Cao. It will take them a long while more to mobilize their men. Chai he knew that at this moment, Huanggai would not have dared to rashly surrender to his enemy, so he took the terms of surrender that Kin Che handed over. He nodded and said, Old General, please take care. Huanggai kept sobbing, watching as in the darkness, a small boat brought Kin Che and Chai he towards the eastern shore. At the fourth gang, Zhou Yu tied his yingde and picked up his sword, standing in front of the Dianjiangtai. The camp was pitch black, and only the faint flash of the oil lamps broke through the darkness. Lu Meng lifted the kettle on Sun Quan's desk. Several days ago, those command arrows that the commanders had tossed into the kettle were all there, the tips of the sharp arrows pointing up. Zhou Yu pulled out the first command arrow. General Cheng Pu, Zhou Yu said. Please arrange for the defenses around the eastern shore. Cheng Pu took his orders and left. Zhou Yu pulled out the second command arrow. Commander Gan Ning, you and General Zhu Ji will direct the men onto the boats. Head northeast and northwest, and prepare to surround the Cao troops. The third command arrow. Lu Meng will be in charge of the rear defenses. Be prepared at any time to act in coordination with the rest. General Guan, please head to Warong and prepare to block off the Cao troops' escape routes. Yes sir. Ling Tong and Ding Feng will command the small ships and direct the ambushes from the water ghosts. General Lu Su. Zhou Yu pulled out a command arrow and moved to speak into Lu Su's ear, quietly whispering a few sentences to him. Lu Su's face was impossible to read, and he looked towards Zhou Yu, before glancing at Sun Quan up on the platform. Zhou Yu patted his shoulder and looked into his eyes, and finally, Lu Su had no choice but to take the arrow. Zigong, please head out to battle with my main army. Zhou Yu pulled out the last command arrow, delivering it solemnly into Sun Quan's hands. End chapter.